So we're here with Joedy Hicks, who is the godfather of cast iron grills.
Yeah.
He has over 200 cast iron grills. Is that right?
Close enough.
Close enough.
I lost track a long time ago.
Lost track a long time ago, but he is responsible for my, somewhat recent infatuation with collecting mini Hibachis. He's also, would you consider yourself the founder of, what is it called on the Facebook group?
Facebook group, Cast Iron Grill and Hibachi World, was actually founded by Damien Toft, but I've been running it for 4 years.
You're pretty much the administrator. You're the go-to guy.
Pretty much.
And
got some really, really knowledgeable people.
yeah, it's a great Facebook group of people that all exchange ideas and the photos of what they have found and knowledge of the grills and where they were made and what years they were made and what the different features on the different grills are. Joedy brought a lot. I asked him to bring 4. He brought what seems like 40, but there's a reason that he brought all these different grills, and I think the reason that he brought a lot of these particular grills was because they have meaning to people in the Northeast.
Yes, they do. Some of these grills, like for instance, these number 9 grills are made by the Portland Foundry in Portland, Maine. A Northeast foundry, no longer in business. Matter of fact, I don't think any of these businesses are still in business, except maybe Lodge. That's the only one.
But see, if you can see on this one, which is kind of cool. So here's the vent door, because when you're cooking with charcoal, now was it originally charcoal that they not just wood sticks or anything like that?
Pretty much all charcoal briquettes. Part I haven't figured out about these things yet. There's a little divot in the bottom of that coal grate, and I've yet to be able to figure out what that little divot is actually for.
Yeah, maybe it was when it was easy to punch it out of the cast. I don't know.
Yeah, you may have put some kind of liquid in there to get things rolling.
So this one, so what are the names of these two?
They're both by the Portland Foundry.
And you had explained earlier that, see, right here, this would be for indoor on a boat, and so that they could vent the exhaust out, and this would be for outdoor cooking.
Right. Other than the top, the cooking grate, or the stove top, they're the exact same grill. If you were to buy a sailboat made by Eddie and Duff, it's called a Stone Horse sailboat. This particular grill is pretty much standard equipment on there, and you could cook on it, but it would also heat the small cabin space.
Very cool. Nowadays there's kind of like this rocket stove craze where they're building these little stoves that they use mostly wood to cook on them, but it's on the same principle of a draft and an exhaust, and people like outdoorsmen and stuff are getting into it. So can you explain? Why don't you tell us? We'll go right through.
The other half is these 2 stoves here were made by the same company, Portland Foundry, in Portland, Maine, and you can get them configured in 2 different ways. One with the grill grate for outdoor use, or one with the stove eyes on it, stove top with 2 eyes, and it goes place for a chimney. And this was the number 10, whereas the other was the number 9.
So Joedy, what years are we talking about that these were manufactured?
40s and 50s, as far as I know.
40s and 50s.
There don't seem to be very many records. My primary source of information on this is advertisements that I found on Google. If I can find a newspaper ad from 1954 that shows a picture of that is a pretty good indication that's when they were for sale.
Right.
I have a question. Number 9, number 10. What?
No clue.
That's just
And as far as I know, they never made an 8 or an 11.
It's like iPhone 5, iPhone 6.
Yeah.
They were cutting edge.
But these here, these were the ones with the stove eyes were used very much in ice fishing shanties. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, the ice fishing houses that they go out on the lakes when they go, and they have little holes cut in the floor, and they'd put a little stove in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, they were used very extensively in that.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, a lot of times when you find cast iron grills like these, we see them on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that. There's considerable amount of rust, but that doesn't necessarily mean that is junk.
Right, right. They are all gunked up with carbon, baked on carbon, and there's various ways of getting that off, and rust. It doesn't mean the piece is ruined at all. It's just you have to apply the right techniques to getting the stuff off. Like for instance, this here, this is a very, very early Birmingham Stove and Range, Atlanta Stove Works, actually the same company. This is a very early example. And I don't think this has ever been used, but it's very rusty. And that rust, you can take it off in a couple different ways. You can use a 50-50 mixture of white vinegar and water and just let it soak for a half hour at a stretch. Scrub it, rinse it, soak it again, and the rust will come right off.
Yeah.
And then you season it like you would a cast iron frying pan. Or there's also an electrolysis tank, a little more involved. It's for people who do higher volume restorations.
But so you said that's one of the earliest models, and there aren't a whole lot of changes between that and what Lodge Manufacturing is selling today. It was the Lodge Sportsman Grill. That's from the 40s, and they haven't changed it a whole lot from then to 2019. It's pretty amazing to me.
It was in the early 1990s when BS&R, the parent company for these two companies, when they went out of business, and because of they essentially owed Lodge money, they gave them the patent rights for manufacturing this, and probably the oval roasters also. And Lodge redesigned the Sportsman Grill, and it's one of the very few examples I've ever found where a company redesigned something and made it better. And the Lodge grill you buy now is actually a better unit than this. It's heavier, it works better, and you can get replacement parts.
Yeah, that's key, huh?
How can you be heavier?
They're pretty heavy, I know. So the ones with the legs, there's some that had 4 legs, some had 3 legs. What is the advantage you have on 3 legs over 4 legs?
As the story goes, stability. 4 legs on uneven ground, no matter what you do, it's wobbly. 3 legs on uneven ground, it's a tripod, it will find its own center. Now, they don't offer these anymore with the 3 legs. And nobody actually knows why. We can't find any information as to why they discontinued the leg system. We think that a lawyer might got involved, and having something up here on spindly legs with a pan full of
hot
oil for fish frying probably wasn't a great combination.
The fryers / roasters are popular kind of accessory to these types of stoves.
Very much so. They're very highly in demand. The pans seem to be readily available. You can find them on eBay all day long. The lids, especially this domed one, scarce as hen's teeth.
Hen's teeth.
Scarce as hen's teeth. They are out there, but they're very few and far between.
And then, so what also is interesting to me is the grate. If you look at the grate on that one right there, is that Columbus Ironworks?
Yes, it is.
So Columbus Ironworks, a lot of these grills are very, very similar, but they were manufactured by different companies. And I was asking Joedy earlier, like, how do they allow these knockoffs? And his guess was that they probably just didn't enforce the patents.
Right. Or it may not have been patented. I know that Columbus Ironworks was, and the Birmingham Stove and Range, Atlanta Stove Works, I know they were patented from 1941, granted in 1943. But as far as the Portland goes, or even the Howe's Cape Cod Heat Grill, I haven't been able to find any I haven't been able to find any patent information on these. I have on that one.
The one behind you is kind of cool. So all these other ones, this is the only one out of the ones that you brought up that actually has an enamel coating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I brought that for its bling factor.
Yeah.
'Cause it's too pretty to cook on. This was made by the Prizer Company of Reading, Pennsylvania. And if you go down to the Reading area, whenever you see one of these for sale, you're almost guaranteed that it's in the Pennsylvania area.
Ah.
I've got 3 of these different models, but they're all just beautiful grills. What I love about this is the turquoise enamel, and they have these little nubbly, what's a good name for these? Nubbies?
Grill grate?
Yeah, these nubs sticking up, and that would hold whatever you're cooking up off the grate. And then there are little channels on either side, and then channel running around.
Oh, I see the
entire
channels
outside.
right here. So the grease would go into this little.
And then you would just pour it off.
Oh, with this little spout, almost created like a spout right there. Oh,
This
that's
one-
brilliant.
Here's the deluxe model. I know, huh? The deluxe model. And you can wheel it around. And let me see. It's got
Heavy duty wheels. And here's your
a little shaper grate inside.
your vent. And then with that you can
Yeah.
so that to get rid of the atoms.
For shaking down the holes.
Yeah. Very cool.
What year is that?
I'm thinking this is probably 1960s, 1970s.
You know, I was gonna say 60s because it reminded me of a car. Look at the color of that.
Yeah.
And you can see
Right.
that color
Bel Air Hotel, right?
in the
It's a
Chevy.
Chevy.
You used to have a refrigerator that color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went,
So very cool.
And the other one I wanted to point out was this Cape Cod made in it's a Cape Cod. I don't know if you can get that
I like
or
that.
not. It's the Howe's Cape Cod Heat-O Grill.
So people didn't just use these to cook on. They also used them as heaters.
There's a shaker handle over there. And here's the door. Here's for your draft control. And that's for clean out. And I love how they incorporated this. The draft control right with the clean out.
Very cool.
And on the original patent drawings, they come with, the patent drawing has these two-section cast iron grate. And I've only seen one other example of these grates. There just aren't that many out there. But then there are other grates that go with these things. And that's this wire grate here. And that was on. Come on. Might have to take my word for this. There we go, just like that. And I think there was a couple posts that come up right here and a rotisserie that you could use to roast something on a spit.
Very cool.
These were used as heaters or for outdoor grilling, your choice. Sometimes you find these and they, instead of having these holes, they'll have a stud come out with a couple of rings. And what you would do, you get a long pole and stick it through the rings, put a guy on one side, guy on the other, and you can walk these things around because these things aren't light.
No. But these are very cool. People should check out and come if you're interested in this type of stuff, like I and Joedy is obviously. Cast iron and cast iron grill and Hibachi World.
Yes.
All right, you say it one more time for them.
Cast Iron Grill and Hibachi World on Facebook.
On Facebook, it's a really great group of people, of collectors and people that like to cook on these type of grills. Joedy, thanks so much for coming. Anything you want to add in closing?
That's it. I'm glad you could have me on your show. It's great meeting your friends here.
The crazies.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody had already seen the ones that Joey has already. He's got this Queen Hibachi and these little Hibachis, which are the coolest things. And what's that one called? A tiki?
Yeah, it's a little tiki one. It's got a vent in the back. Right there, you can see the vent. There's some little vent holes in the side. And then we have this one, which is made out of porcelain or ceramic. And then these little ones, I think that they use these in Chinese restaurants. And people have like in each individual table, people will be able to do their own little grilling.
And I think you're on to something here because the smaller grills like this are a very unexplored collecting segment so far.
Yeah, I think
Until, of course, this blog comes out, and then people, they're going to be snapping them up. left,
eBay
right,
is
and
gonna go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming, Joedy.
Thanks, Joey.
All right.
Nice to be here.